No one remembers the moment the spark of rebellion was lit, only the inferno that followed. But legends say it began with a queen, standing alone at the edge of her fallen kingdom, staring at the ruins left behind by the most powerful empire on earth, and choosing war instead of obedience. Long before her name shook the Roman world, Boudica walked the lands of ancient Britain as a queen of the Iceni, tall, commanding, with hair said to blaze like copper in the sun. To her people, she was not just royalty, but the voice of a culture bound by honor, freedom, and fierce resistance. To Rome, however, she was merely another provincial woman expected to yield quietly to the imperial machine. And the Romans had no idea what kind of storm they were provoking. The Iceni kingdom had been a friendly client state, Rome's polite word for a vassal with just enough autonomy to pretend it still had sovereignty. Boudica's husband, King Prasutagus, tried to secure peace by naming both his daughters and the Roman emperor as heirs. It was a political gamble meant to protect his line. It failed spectacularly. When Prasutagus died, Rome discarded his will like an inconvenient rumor. His lands were confiscated, his relatives enslaved, and his household ransacked by Roman creditors, hungry for unpaid debts the Iceni never knew they owed. But worst of all was what happened to Boudica. She was publicly humiliated, flogged brutally, and her young daughters assaulted. In that instant, the queen who once believed coexistence was possible became the embodiment of a nation's fury. The Romans believed the punishment would break her spirit. Instead, it welded her resolve. Boudica began uniting tribes that had been enemies for generations. The Trinovantes, crushed under Roman taxation. The Iceni, now stripped of their dignity. Warriors from far-flung corners of Britain who had never before stood under a single banner. It was an alliance no Roman governor imagined possible. But they had underestimated the power of outrage. As Boudica addressed her swelling army, she didn't promise victory. She promised vengeance. She spoke of honor stolen, families humiliated, and a future where their children would grow up as slaves in their own land. Her words spread like wildfire, carried on the wind of a nation awakening from fear. Their first target was Camulodunum, modern Colchester, the proud Roman capital of Britain. The Romans mocked her uprising at first. To them, she was a barbarian woman, leading an angry mob. But what arrived at Camulodunum was not a mob. It was a tidal wave. The city fell with terrifying speed. Roman veterans, their families, even the temple dedicated to the emperor himself, everything was torn down in a storm of rage and liberation. Survivors later spoke as if nature itself had joined her cause, as though Britain had erupted against its occupiers. Word of the disaster raced across the province. Panic followed, and Boudica did not stop. Next came Londinium, a growing commercial hub the Romans cherished. Governor Suetonius Paulinus rushed toward the city, weighed his options, and made a brutal choice: abandon it. He didn't have enough troops to defend it, so he sacrificed it instead. When Boudica's forces arrived, the city's fate was sealed. The streets ran with the consequences of Rome's earlier arrogance. Archaeologists, centuries later, would uncover a layer of ash across London, thick, dark, unmistakable, the scar of their rebellion. Verulamium, too, fell soon after. 3 great Roman centers destroyed, tens of thousands dead. In Rome, whispers began to spread. Could Britain be lost? Could a provincial queen topple an empire? For a moment, it seemed almost possible. But Rome was built on discipline, and its survival relied on cold, relentless calculation. Suetonius regrouped his forces, legions hardened by decades of war, and prepared for a decisive confrontation. Boudica, fueled by momentum and righteous fury, gathered her massive army for one final push. When the two sides met, somewhere along a narrow defile now lost to history, it was as if time itself held its breath. Boudica's army outnumbered the Romans dramatically. Some say as many as 200,000 Britons faced fewer than 10,000 legionaries. The Romans appeared cornered, trapped. But their position was intentional. They fought in tight formation, using the terrain to funnel and neutralize the masses before them. What followed was not just a battle. It was a collision between two visions of the world. One rooted in ancient freedom, the other in imperial order. Despite their numbers, the Britons struggled to break Roman discipline. As the Roman front lines advanced methodically, Boudica's warriors slowly realized the trap around them. Cart wagons filled with families had been parked behind the battlefield, hoping to witness victory. Now they blocked the only escape route. The open plain transformed into chaos. And somewhere within that chaos, the queen who refused to bow faced her final moment. Accounts differ on her fate. The Romans claimed she took her own life rather than be paraded through Rome in chains. Others say she fell ill and died. Some believe she vanished back into the earth she defended, becoming part of the legend that still endures. What is known is this: the rebellion was crushed, but the story of Boudica was not. Rome tightened its grip on Britain, yet the memory of the queen who defied them became a symbol of resistance echoed through centuries. To Victorians, she was an icon of national pride. To modern historians, she is a reminder of the complexities of colonial rule. To her own people, she may have been something even more powerful, a warrior who rose not for conquest, but for justice, dignity, and the right to exist without chains. And so her name remains, not as a queen defined by defeat, but as a woman who scarred an empire. The Romans once believed they owned the world. Boudica proved there were still places and people they could never truly conquer.